Today's shiur is called Rosh Hashana Yom Norah or Chag Simcha. Are we on trial or are we on parade? Okay? On one hand, we're on trial for our lives, right, David? On the other hand, we're parading. You see soon, the Talmud says we're parading in front of the king. So is it Yom Norah? Is it awesome days? Or is it Chag Simcha or days of awe? So if you take a look at the first source number 1, this is from the book of Nehemiah. The book of Nehemiah, source number 1, the Yosef Kol Ish, Kolam Ish Echad Elchov Asif Shar Hamayim. Nehemiah and Ezra, they were the leaders of world Jewry during the beginning of the Second Temple period. And they gathered the Jews with Shar Hamayim. What's Shar Hamayim? Yehuda, that's Watergate. Get it? See the original Watergate? Shar Hamayim. Vayomil Ezra Sofer, they told Ezra, L'havi et Sefer Torah, Moshe, right? Pasuk Bet, Vayovi Ezra Kohen es HaTorah, Lifnei HaKol, Me'ish Vad Isha, V'chol Mevin, Lishmoa, B'yom Echad, L'chodesh HaShvi. Chava, when is that? B'yom Echad, L'chodesh HaShvi? Rosh Hashana. Right? Rosh Hashana. So they read the Torah publicly on Rosh Hashana, right? Let's skip to Pasuk Tet. Vayoyim Nehemiah, who atashata? What's atashata mean? He was the cupbearer to whom? Darius II. To Darius II. He was the cupbearer to who was Darius II, Chava? The son of Esther. The son of Esther. See, God has a sense of humor. Achashverosh stopped the building of the second temple, and who completed it? Darius, his son. Through Nehemiah, who was his cupbearer. In those days, a cupbearer was like a prime minister. So, Pasuk Tet, Vayoyim Nehemiah, who atashata, the cupbearer to Darius, the son of Esther, the Ezra Cohen, Hasofer, Valeviim, Aminim Etoam, L'chaloam, Hayom, Kodosh Hu L'Hashem Elokeichem. Today, which day? Yom Echad HaChodesh HaShvi. Today is holy. Al tisablu v'al tifku. Ezra and Nehemiah told the people, don't mourn and don't cry. Ki bochim kol hayom. They were crying. Kishamas divrei Torah. It was Rosh Hashana. They heard the words of the Torah. They're on trial for their lives, and they were crying. And Ezra told them, al tifku, don't cry. Why don't cry? Pasuk Yud. V'yoyim lahem. So what did Ezra say to them? L'chu ichlu mashmanim, go eat what? Mashmanim means fatty meat. I hope you have low cholesterol. Ichlu mashmanim, eat fatty meats. V'shtu mamtakim, and drink what? Sweet drinks. V'shilchu monot, and send mishloach monot. Lei nochen lo, the people that didn't prepare for Yontif. Ki kodesh hayoim ladonenu. Today is holy. V'al teyatzevu, do not be sad, even though you're on trial for your life. Ki chedvas Hashem himaschem. The joy of God is your strength. Now I have a kasha on this, Rabbi. Nehemiah is one of the 24 books in Tanakh. In Megillah Esther, you have the phrase Mishloach Monot, and there Halacha codified it, that you have to bring Mishloach Monot when? On Purim. Here you have Nehemiah and Ezra, who were contemporaries of what? Of Mordechai and Esther. And the Pasuk Yud, Yehuda, they say, what do they say? Shulchu Monot. They say you should send Mishloach Monot, not just on Purim, David, but also what? On Rosh Hashana. My question is, how come Halacha, Avraham, did not codify it? Nehemiah and Ezra are just authoritative as Mordechai and Esther. You have this in Megillah Esther to send Shlach Monos on Purim. It became part of the Halacha, and yet on Rosh Hashana, it uses the same phrase in Pasuk Yud, that Rosh Hashana you should also send what? Shlach Monot. You see the storekeepers in Machne Yehuda, they set up nice baskets. Don't you see a Machne Yehuda have basket? They know Tanakh. The Sfardim know Tanakh. Right? The guys in Machne Yehuda, the Sfardim, they know Tanakh, so therefore Shulchu Monot. The question is, how come Halacha, David, did not codify Mishloach Monos on Rosh Hashana as it did what? On Purim. But you see from here that Rosh Hashana is a happy day. Happy days are here again. Go ahead.
Or you could drive to the Gab and on Rosh Hashana.
Doesn't mean anything. It says Shulchu Monot.
service is much longer. Rosh Hashana, you don't have time to do it.
It says Shulchan Monot. There's a mitzvah to send Shlach Monot, and it's not a mitzvah because halacha for some reason did not what? Codify it, unlike in Megillah Esther where it did. So that's my question. But we see Shulchan Monot, the purpose is to unite the Jewish people. If we want to have a good din on Rosh Hashanah, united we stand, divided we fall. We have to unite as a people, and then we're going to have a good judgment. So that we're going to talk about that more. Now, take a look at Pasuk Yud Aleph, David's source number 1, Yud Aleph. V'alevim machshim l'cholam leima hasu. The Levites were calming down the people. What does hasu mean? Sheket. The people continued to cry. Ki hayoim kadosh v'al te'atzavu. And yet Nehemiah had to repeat himself and say what? Stop crying. Today is not a sad day. It's a happy day. Pasuk Yud Bet. Take a look at Yud Bet. Sharona, look at Pasuk Yud Bet. Rabbi Yaakov, you have a paper? Rabbi Yaakov, welcome back. I don't have an extra. Do you have an extra one? Thank you. Rivka, look at Pasuk Yud Bet. Vayelchu kol. Anybody want to help me with the reading? Avram. Vayelchu kol lechol v'lishtot u'l'shalach monot. U'l'shalach monot. Rivka, why don't we do that? U'l'shalach monot v'lasot simcha gedola. This is when? Rosh Hashana. Ki hevinu badvorim ashedir. They finally understood that it's a happy day. So they went in Pasuk Yud Bet, source number 1. Yehudi, have it? They went to eat and drink. What's the next word? U'l'shalach monot. V'lasot simcha gedola. Celebrate. Celebrate on trial for your life, David. Kind of bizarre. What's it all about? What's going on over here? But anyway, it says clearly that shalach monot. The question that I don't know an answer to is why halacha accepted Megillah Esther and rejected what? Nehemiah and Ezra. They're both the same authoritative books in Tanakh. But you see that the purpose is that the Jewish people should unite in loving brotherhood, thereby, Sonia, guaranteeing us what? A good judgment. The question is why and how. Okay? The question is why and how. So let's take a look at source number 2. Source number 2, the Be'er Heitiv. Harizal nohag lifkot b'Rosh Hashana. You wouldn't mind getting me a little water? Thank you. Harizal nohag lifkot b'Rosh Hashana. Thank you. V'Yom Kippur. V'Omer kimi she'ena boche b'Yom Elu. Ein nishmatay tova shleima. The Riyah Kodesh says you should what? Cry on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And if you don't, there's something wrong with your soul. Look at Pasuk 3. Maser, 2 Jews, 3 opinions, Rivka. Source number 3. You have it, Malka. Who wrote the Maser Rav? Abraham. The Vilna Gaon wrote the Maser Rav. How do you know? You're right. Oh, it says so. Gra. Okay. Rabbi Yaakov, what does the Vilna Gaon say? The Ein Lifkot b'Rosh Hashana. He argues with the Ari, and he says what? Don't cry for me on Rosh Hashanah. Da 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 da. Thank you, just a little. That's enough. Okay, thank you very much. That's enough. Thank you. Take it away. Thanks. So the Vilna Gaon says you shouldn't cry because Ezra says al tifku. So we have a saying on Wall Street, don't fight the tape, and we say don't fight the text, Sonia. The text says al tifku, and the Vilna Gaon says we should follow the text. How could the Riyah Kodesh say no, disregard the text? I'm a text man. The text says al tifku, and the Vilna Gaon says you're not supposed to cry because it says al tifku, and yet the Riyah Kodesh says no, you're supposed to cry. So there seems to be what? A machlokus. We know Elu v'Elu divrei Elohim chayim, right? The Gemara in Eruvin, page 13, tells us Shammai said this, Hillel said that. Abaskol came out and said what? They're both right. How could they both be right? Okay, we'll try to answer that question. Thank you, Yehuda. Look at source number 4. What does Shulchan Aruch say about it? Source number 4. You have it, Avram? We're Shulchan Aruch people, right? Shulchan Aruch 4. Ochlim v'shotim usmeichim. You're supposed to celebrate. You're on trial for your life, surely. And you're supposed to celebrate and rejoice. Ve'ein mit'anin b'Rosh Hashana. And you're not allowed to what?
Complain.
Fast. You're not allowed to fast on Rosh Hashana. Even though it's Yom Hadin, you're not allowed to fast. You're supposed to eat and drink and what? And be merry. You hear this? What about the Ari? He says you should cry. And the text says you shouldn't cry, and the Vilna Gaon says you shouldn't cry. Source number 5, Mishnah Brura. You have it, Avram. Source number 5, Ochlim shotim usmeichim, Rotzolayma, after Yom Adin, even though it's the Yom Ad, everyone's on trial for their life, Mikol Mokaim, Mitzvah shel v'samachta bechagecha. Did you know that? The mitzvah samachta b'chagecha, Abraham, also applies to what? Rosh Hashana. How do I know? Shehu gam b'chlal chag. Rosh Hashana is also called a chag. How do we know? We say in Tehillim, Peites, Tikku b'chodesh shofar, ba'keseh le'yom chagenu. King David, Abraham, calls Rosh Hashana chag. Tikku b'chodesh shofar, blow the chodesh, in the month Bakeseh, when the moon is covered up. Which Rosh Chodesh is the moon covered up? Rosh Hashana. The moon is covered up. Every Rosh Hashana, David, is also what? Rosh Chodesh, and the moon is covered up. So King David says, blow the shofar, and he calls Rosh Hashana what? Yom Chagenu. So you see, Rosh Hashana is also what? You should say, Chag Sameach. Did you know that? Many people don't. I'm a text man. You should say, the Mishnah Berurah said, you should say on the Yom Adin Rivka, Chag Sameach, because King David calls it a Chag. V'nema Nehemiah, and the Mishnah Berurah quotes our verse in Nehemiah, Ichlu mashmanim, eat fatty meat if you have low cholesterol. Ushtu mamtakim, and drink what? Sweet beverages. Ki kodesh hayoim ladanenu, today is holy. The next word. Te'atzevu, do not be sad, ki chedvas Hashem, because the joy of God is what? Moaschem, your strength. Okay? Is your strength.
Everybody knows you get the last meal before you get the job.
Oh. So what's it on? Days of awe or awesome days, David? Days of awe or awesome days? So Mikimya said both, and perhaps that's why Rosh Hashanah is what? 2 days even in Pisgat Zev. Perhaps one day you should experience what? Joy. And the second day you should experience awe. So we need 2 days, David. I think it's called putting compartmentalizing. Thank you very much. Perhaps that's why Rosh Hashanah is the only 2-day Chag what? In Eretz Yisrael. 1 day for days of awe, and the second day for awesome, dude. Oh, okay. Which one? But you eat on both days.
On one day,
yeah.
On one day, you have Shemini Atzeret and Simchas Torah.
That's a whole different issue. Oh, no. But here, perhaps that's why there's what? Judaism is what? Conflicting moods. We always have in Jewish life, we always have what? These conflicting, and I'll prove it to you. The shofar itself is the mix of joy and awe. Not sorrow, awe. The tekiyah is the joyous sound, Avraham. We coronate the Melech. But the shvarim teruah, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, is the weeping sound that calls us to tshuva. In the shofar itself, you have these what? Conflicting moods. The tekiyah is the joyous sound that we coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu as our king. Little old me has the awesome schus to coronate God as the king. Yet the shvarim teruah, the broken staccato sound, is the weeping sound to call us to tshuva. So the shofar itself is what? It has these conflicting moods, and that's what life is all about. But
didn't you say Judaism is conflicting?
Well, isn't that
all the Shabbatot are
on the Chagim you say Yizkor? Don't you say Yizkor on the Chagim?
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? So what? So what? On the Chagim you say Yizker. V'samachta b'chagecha, and yet Avim you say Yizker. Isn't it a what? Paradox? Life is a paradox. Life, right? On the Chagim, v'samachta b'chagecha, you say Yizker and you cry. Paradox? Life is a paradox. Tears of joy and tears of sorrow, same tears. Tears of joy, tears of sorrow. That's what life is all about. You got to take the good with the bad. Package deal. There's a song in Hebrew, Al Devash V'al Oketz. What a beautiful song, right? For the honey, we thank God for the honey, and we also thank God for the sting. Pretty amazing, huh? Now, how do we reconcile the Vilna Gaon with the Ari? The Vilna Gaon says you're not supposed to cry because Ezra says so, and the Mishnah Berurah says you shouldn't cry, and yet the Ari HaKodesh says you're supposed to cry. So how can they both be right, Abraham? You're right, and you're right, you're also right. Yes? How could you?
This is not really sad because the neshama goes up.
No.
So you're happy that the neshama is going up.
So should you cry? You shouldn't. So let's take a look at, in Bamidbar 29, the Torah calls Rosh Hashana Yom Teruah. Says Onkelos, Yom Teruah, Yom Yabava, a day of weeping. In Bamidbar 29, in Parshas Pinchas, the Torah never calls it Rosh Hashana. The Torah calls it what? Yom Teruah. And Onkelos says Yom Yabava, Abraham. Yom Yabava means a day of weeping. Wait a minute, how can Onkelos say that when Nehemiah and Ezra tells us you're not supposed to weep? And Onkelos translates Yom Teruah, that Rosh Hashanah is all about what? Yom Yabava. The broken sound of the shofar is supposed to induce you to what? To weep. And Ezra and Nehemiah says, don't cry. Send shlachmona, simcha gedolah. So David, we're faced here with a paradox. Let's see if we can sort it out, reconcile it. Let's see if we can if we can resolve this paradox. Let's see if we can do that. First of all, so it's Yom Teruah. Yom Teruah. But if you look in Parshas Balak, Utruat Melech Bo, Rashi says that Teruah also means Reyut, friendship. Somehow by blowing the shofar, we gain the friendship of the king. So Rashi in Parshas Balak, Teruat Melech Bo, when we blow the Teruah, we are crowning the king. Rashi says the word Teruah, the root is Reyut. Somehow through Kiyah Shofar, we are gaining what? The Reyut Shel Melech. We're gaining what? God's friendship. How? This is the key, Sonia. Why you're supposed to send Shlachmonos? Why do you send Shlachmonos on Purim? What? To foster love and friendship between Jews. Nehemiah and Ezra are telling us that the tafkid of Rosh Hashana, the Shlachmonos, is also to foster love and friendship Jew with Jew. If you want to gain God's friendship, how do you do that, David? By gaining your fellow Yiddel's friendship. So, Stu Shlachmonot, source number 1, Posuk Yud Bet, Le'echu kolam lecho v'lishtot u'l'shalach monot. By sending shalach monot, you are making friends with fellow Yidden. If you want to win God's friendship on Rosh Hashana, how do you do it? Make friends with fellow Yidden. Unite with fellow Yidden. Truat melech boy reyut. And therefore, Rosh Hashana, there's a mitzvah to invite guests and even to send shlachmonot. My kasha is, Yehuda, why halacha did not codify it. The book of Nehemiah is just as authoritative as Megillat Esther. But that's a homework assignment. Okay? But, so how do we reconcile? So, what are we doing on Rosh Hashana? What are we doing on Rosh Hashana? We are coronating the king. We're coronating Kodesh Baruch Hu. And we say in the Sana Tokev that we pass in front of God Kivnei Moron. What does Kivnei Moron mean? The Gemara has one opinion, it's like sheep. Kivnei Moron, Meshlokish says, like troops parading in front of the king. An honor guard. We are coronating the king, so on Rosh Hashana we parade that we are coronating the King of Kings. It's an honor guard. Kivnei Moron. So again, like sheep, single file to be judged, we're celebrating our trial. We're celebrating our trial. That's very bizarre. So should you cry on Rosh Hashanah? It depends why you're crying. Let's look at the text. If you analyze the text, the answers are always there. Please look at source number 1, Yud Aleph. The Levites calmed down the people because they were crying. Leimar hasu. What does hasu mean, Yehuda? Sheket. Ki hayom kadosh v'al te'ot tzevu. Don't be sad. The text is telling me what type of tears are prohibited on Rosh Hashanah. Depression. Tears of sadness, Malka. Tears of sadness and depression. But when Unkala says Yom Yabava, tears of joy, that we have the awesome schus to coronate the King of Kings. Tears of sadness is prohibited because it's Simcha Gedolah, it's Yontif. But when Unkala says Yom Yabava, a day of weeping, it means, Yehuda, a day of weeping for joy. That little old me, Sonia, has the awesome schus to coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That should make us weep with joy. Tears of joy, tears of sorrow. Both tears, but sorrow is prohibited, but tears of joy is what should be done. And therefore, when the Ariel Kodesh says, Lifkot Rosh Hashana, Chava, source number 2, he's not arguing with the Vilna Gaon. See, source number 2 and 3, the Vilna Gaon says, don't cry. He means what? Don't cry for me. Sad tears. When the Ariel Kodesh says you should cry, he's speaking about tears of joy. For the awesome schus, Rabbi Yaakov, that we have the schus to coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That God, Kaviyachol, waits all year, David, for little old me to crown him. That should make us so happy that we should cry what? Not crocodile tears, tears of joy. Joy to the world. Simcha Gedolah. Rivka. What? Joy to the world.
So, what? But we don't have Hashem's whole government.
What? We coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when the Gemara Rosh Hashana says, Kol ba'olam kivnei moron, it means like troops on parade before the Melech to celebrate the coronation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we blow shofar in order to what? When they coronated Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, Lahavdil, they blew trumpets to announce his kingship. And therefore, what do you do in Rosh Hashanah? You go to Tashlich al Anar, on the river. If you look in the book of Kings and Samuel, where were Jewish kings coronated?
By a river.
By a river. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Listen to me, please. On Rosh Hashanah, we coronate Lillian, the King of Kings. Therefore, we go what? To a river. Because Jewish kings were coronated al anar. Life-giving water. Life-giving water.
Not sewer water.
The king is life-giving water. So we coronate the King of Kings, and therefore we go to the river. We're not feeding the fish. They don't need our sins. We want to choke them with our sins. We'll coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there is no what? There actually is no stira. There is no stira. In source number 2, the Ari says you should cry. Those are tears of joy. Source number 3, Ein Lifkot. That means what type of tears, Yehuda? Tears of sadness. Because on Yom Tov, you're not allowed to be what? Sad. So the shofar, is it the cry of fear or is it the song of love? Yes. Yes. Shofar, is it the cry of fear, Shirley, or is it the song of love? Yes. It's both. Again, the tekiyah is the joyous sound coronating the king, but the shvarim teruah is the weeping sound calling us to what? To do tshuva. To do tshuva. Very interesting. So now the question is, so we saw that Rosh Hashana is a chag, and the Mishnah Brura in source number 5, Chava, says you say chag sameach. People look at you strange. Don't look at me strange. I have source number 5. Right. The Mishnah Brura says it's called a chag. It's a pasuk in Tehillim 89. King David says, L'yoim chagenu, you're supposed to say chag sameach.
Right. We say Shana Tova.
But you're supposed to say chag sameach too. Right? King David calls it a chag. So the question is, every chag you say Hallel. Rosh Hashana is a chag. Why don't you say Hallel? Buddy, what am I, chopped liver? We just said Simcha Gedolah. You're supposed to celebrate, eat fatty roast beef, and drink delicious sweet beverages. Simcha Gedolah. Every Yom Tov also demands Hallel. Why, Lillian, don't you say Hallel when? On Rosh Hashanah.
Because we're busy coordinating.
So the Gemara says, Sifrei Chayim, the Sifrei Meitim, Niftachim, Vatam Omim Hallel. Even though it's a joyous day, David, but the bottom line is, we're on trial for our lives. So we're just not in the mood, Sharona. Look how halacha lives in the real world. On one level, you're celebrating, but another level, Lillian, we should be fearful. We're on fear for our life. So you're just not in the mood to say Hallel, even though you should. But halacha, David, is not pie in the sky. Halacha lives in the real world, and therefore you're just not in the mood to say Hallel, and therefore the halacha says skip it. But I have another explanation. You want to hear mine?
Yes.
You sure?
Absolutely.
Okay. On Rosh Hashanah, we are coronating HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the King of Kings, and the Judge to judge us. Hallel is praising. You can't praise the judge. It's bribery. Oh. Hallel, this is my chiddush. Take it or leave it, Maddie. Rosh Hashanah, we're coronating the king and the judge to judge me. You're going to give the judge a check in an envelope. Hallel, you're praising him. You can't praise the judge on Judgment Day. David, it's bribery. And therefore what?
We can't give it.
We don't say Hallel. You want to give him an envelope under the table? No. You can't praise.
Isn't that an old Jewish custom?
Come on. So therefore, you can't praise the judge on Judgment Day because it's a form of a bribery. And so we don't say Hallel. Hallel, you praising him. Right?
Yes, Rabbi.
Go ahead.
How much?
Take it or leave it. What, Rivka? What? What? Hallel. Hallel. We don't say Hallel. Where do we praise? That's not praise. Malchia Zechreina to Shayfreis. It's not. Hallel is specifically praise. Malchia Zechreina to Shayfreis are not praise. They're declarations of fact that we're crowning God as the king. God remembers everything, and we crown him through blowing of the shofar. Jewish history began with the shofar blast where? On Har Sinai. And Jewish history is going to end. B'yoyim hahu yitaka b'shofar gadol. Right? Isaiah. So Rabbi Yaakov, the shofar is the bookends of Jewish history. You like that? Bookends? I like it, David. Jewish history began with the shofar blast where? At Har Sinai, where only we acknowledged him as the king, Shoshana. But Isaiah says, B'yoyim hahu yitaka b'shofar gadol. B'yoyim hahu, when the Mashiach comes, the entire world will acknowledge him as king. Through what? The shofar blast. bookends of Jewish history. Begins with the shofar blast at Har Sinai. It'll end with the Messianic era, also throughout. So the shofar blast is not praise; it's coronating the HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
But a
Yes.
question, Rabbi.
Yes.
How much difference does it make that
Age
we don't
before
have-
beauty.
How much does it?
Sage before.
Sage before beauty. What?
Well, I don't know if I'm saying
Go ahead.
age or whatever.
Go ahead.
But how much difference does it make that we don't have Hashem's government here in Israel yet?
We have to do
Sanhedrin.
what we have to do. First, we have to worry about the guy in the mirror. Am I okay? Before you want to answer Chava's great question. Chava asked the bomb kasha from Bombland. Tikkun olam, I want to save the world. Right, Sharon? Good kasha. The sons of Rav. Rav Avraham, you came just to hear this, Rav Avraham. The sons of Rav addresses Chava's question. The sons of Rav, Zechat Tzadik Avracha. He says, when I was a young man, the sons of Rav said, I wanted to save my whole city and fix them and be makar of them, my whole city. As I got older, said the sons of Rav, there's no way I'm going to fix my whole city. I'll concentrate with my kehillah. I want to be metakin my kehillah and bring them back. As I got older, David, the sons are Rav, there's no way I'm going to be metakin my kehillah. At least I'll be metakin my family.
No.
As I got old, he says the only person I can be metakin Abraham is the guy in the mirror. The sons are Rav.
Yeah.
You want to save the world? Be glad you can save yourself. And the sons of Rav said it's a trickle-down theory. You know trickle-down? If I fix myself, it'll have repercussions for my family, for my kehillah, etc., etc. But it has to begin with the guy in the mirror. But today, the lefties, tikkun olam, I can do whatever I want, be mechal Shabbos and eat treifa. I want to fix the whole world. Bluff. It begins with the guy in the mirror, the sons of Rav, right? The only person you can really fix, Sonia, is what? Is the guy in the mirror. So I might as well concentrate on the person I can fix, and that's what? Me.
I'm not
Sons of Rebbe said that you can take it to the bank. He dealt with your question, okay? What? So anyway, let's speak about here. I want to make this point so succinctly. Rosh Hashana, you coronate the king, David. It's a mitzvah min Torah. Isn't it bizarre when Rosh Hashana, Avram, falls on Shabbos, the rabbis step in and they say, don't coronate the king? Sharon, isn't that bizarre? It's a Torah mitzvah to blow the shofar, even Shabbos Rosh Hashana. Come in the rabbis with a bizarre reason. Maybe one Yidel out in Oshkosh or in Arkansas will forget that it's Shabbos. He'll come to carry. So the entire Jewish people have to give up coronating the king because one Yidel in where? The Hamptons or wherever might forget that it's Shabbos. You hear this reason? So the entire Jewish people have to give up shofar blosen. The Meshech Chochmah says, "Das versteht nicht." David Harel, that makes sense to you? I have to give up a Torah mitzvah of coronating because some Yidel in the sticks out there, maybe Rabbi Yaakov, he'll forget that it's Shabbos. Who cares? Beautiful. Beautiful. Says the Meshech Chochmah, you're missing the whole point of Rosh Hashana. This is the punchline. You came just to hear this. Basing himself on Rashi and Pashas Balak. Utruat melech bo. When we blow the shofar, we coronate the king. And Rashi said the word truah is from the word reyut. Friendship. You want God's friendship? Says the Meshech Chochmah. What a word. I'm ready to give up my Torah mitzvah of blowing shofar to prevent a yidel that I don't even know to be Mechala Shabbos. Look how much I care for a fellow yid that I don't even know. I'm willing to give up my Torah mitzvah to prevent a yidel I don't know from being Mechala Shabbos. If that ain't friendship, Shirley, ain't it good to know you got a friend? Says the Meshech Chochmah. When I don't blow shofar on Shabbos Rosh Hashana, I'm not losing. I'm demonstrating to Kodesh Baruch Hu, look how much I love your kinderlach. I don't even know him. And I'm giving up my mitzvah to prevent a yidel from being Mechala Shabbos. Meshech Chochmah says, when God sees that, you don't need to blow shofar no more. If you're willing to give up your mitzvah of reyut for a fellow yidel to prevent him from being Mechala Shabbos, then utruat melech bo, Rabbi Abraham, Meshech Chochmah, then you've won the king's friendship without blowing the shofar. Rivka, you like it? Meshech Chochmah, isn't that gewaldig? And therefore, Mishalach Monot, Rosh Hashana, you have to connect and bond with other Yidden. The more friendly you are with a fellow Yidel, the more you're guaranteed to win whose friendship?
Hashem's.
Because God operates midah keneged midah, buddy. The way we treat a fellow Yidel is the way he treats us. What a chiddush from the Meshech Chochmah. So you're not losing anything. You're gaining the king's friendship by demonstrating friendship to a Yid that you don't even know. And therefore, we're guaranteed to get the Reyut Shel Melech, says the Meshech Chochmah. That's pretty amazing. Now, if you take a look at source number 7, Avram, you have the sheet? Source number 7?
You haven't answered the question.
What question?
The question is, why is it not halacha on Rosh Hashana?
Why not?
Why isn't the mitzvah of Shalach Manos halacha?
I don't know. I threw it out to you. Rabbi Aaron, I'm stumped. I'm stumped. Yehuda Lev had a good answer. They don't want, you can't drive. I don't know. So, but halacha didn't know about driving. The halacha knew about driving. Purim, you're allowed to do malacha. You can get a taxi. Is that the reason? That's a
The
technical.
services are so long, too.
And services are too long. But I don't know. You agree with me? See, Pasuk Yud Bet, source number 1. Vayelchu kolam lecha v'lishtot u'l'shalach monot.
What if you feed 2 Jews in your house?
If you feed,
2 Jews.
No.
Go home on Rosh Hashana.
so that's great.
It's like Malach
So that's Shlach Manot. But you see, Rivka, that and the Machna Yehuda, they have these beautiful baskets. Because the Svardische store owners, they know Tanakh. The Machna Yehuda guys are Svardim, Shrona, they learn Tanakh. So they know. They make beautiful baskets on Rosh Hashana. Take a look already. Go now. Tomorrow you'll see beautiful baskets. Nehemiah chapter 8, Chava. Nehemiah chapter 8, Pasuk 12. But it's the faster, like Rivka said, if you don't send, you invite Yidden to your home. You make a Yid happy on Rosh Hashana, you're guaranteed that God will make you happy on Rosh Hashana. How do I know, Abraham? It's called Midah Keneged Midah. God, Hashem Tzilcha. There's a pasuk in Tehillim, Hashem Tzilcha. Our God is your shadow, says the Baal Shem Tov. What do you mean God is your shadow? I think it's called reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Thank you. A shadow acts like you do. Who knows what evil lurks? The shadow knows. A shadow acts like you do. So therefore, King David says, Hashem Tzilcha. God is our shadow. Let's take a look at source number 7, the Mishnah Brura. L'sasanu l'simcha. Do you say that on Mishnah on the Rosh Hashana? Ein amin l'sasanu l'simcha. Again, I guess for the same reason you don't say Hallel. That what you don't say sasanu l'simcha. But according to Mishnah Brura, source number 5, you should say Chag Sameach. Incredible. People don't know that. King David calls it a Chag. Bakeseh, David. Bakeseh. Rosh Hashana is the only Rosh Chodesh when the moon is what? Covered. All the other Chagim are the 15th. The moon is full. Rosh Hashana is the only Chag that falls when? On Rosh Chodesh, the moon is Bakesa. What does Bakesa mean? Covered up. Covered up, right? Bakesa, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to know, how is it that we don't bench Rosh Chodesh for Rosh Chodesh?
Oh, so why don't you bench Rosh Chodesh when? Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. So the simple meaning, Rivka, is, why do you bench, a Jew enters a kasha with what? Why not? Why do you bench every Rosh Chodesh? The answer is, Shirley, because a lot of people are in shul on Shabbos morning more than Wednesday morning. So the Chazan announced when Rosh Chodesh is, so people should come and say Hallel. More people come to shul on Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh than on regular Wednesday. So the push-up shot, Rivka, you announce Rosh Chodesh benchen. Shabbos morning there's more people in the shul than during the week. And you want to announce Rosh Chodesh is this week. Come to shul and say Hallel. That's the real reason. The Kabbalistic reason, David, is to mix up the Satan. He's not mixed up already. I mean, for 2,000 years we don't want to announce that Tishrei is coming. So we want to mix him up that he shouldn't what? Prosecute. But he's smarter than we are, Malka, don't you think so? After 2,000 years, you don't think he's what? What?
To the tricks?
Right? It's to the tricks, right? So the real reason is there's no need to. Because every Rosh Chodesh is also what? Rosh Hashana. Who doesn't go to shul on Rosh Hashana? Every Rosh Hashana is Rosh Chodesh. So the reason you announce every Rosh Chodesh is to tell people to come to shul to say Hallel, even though you don't go on a regular Tuesday. But there's no need, Rivka, there's no need on Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Because Rosh Chodesh Tishrei also happens to be David what? Who doesn't come to shul on Rosh Hashanah? It's superfluous. You don't need it. Okay? But you don't need to bench Rosh Chodesh. Because you'll be in shul anyway this Rosh Chodesh. Why will you be in shul this anyway? Because it's Rosh Hashanah. Right? But the Kabbalistic answer, I don't understand. You want to mix up the Satan.
Well, that's usually the week
Isn't it
before.
the
In other words,
Sitra?
Isn't the Satan mixed up?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the Sitra?
It's not the Satan. It's the Satan inside of me, says the Ram. This Rosh Chodesh is different. I'm not going to proclaim it because this Rosh Chodesh is also Rosh Hashana. It's not a regular Rosh Chodesh. Yiddish Avram? So the Ram says it's not the Satan. He doesn't get mixed up. It's the Satan inside of me. It's the Satan inside of me. That this Rosh Chodesh is not an ordinary Rosh Chodesh. It's going to be completely different. How is it different? We're not even going to bench it. We're not going to announce it. It's not necessary. It's the Yom Hadin. Who doesn't know to get his act together on a Yom Hadin? So it's to mix up the Satan inside of me.
How about the fact that this Rosh Hashanah
Right.
is different from all the Rosh Hashanah
Why?
since 1967? Because it is the end of Shemitah.
The end of Shemitah.
And potentially a Yovel.
A Yovel year, and maybe Mashiach will come. But there's something very strange on Rosh Hashanah. We censor the Avinu Malkeinu Avram. You aware of this? You censor Avinu Malkeinu Chatonu Lefanecha. You look in the Svardish Chabad Machzor, it says Medalgen Zeh. You skip. Unlike Yom Kippur, you say Al Chet, Al Chet, Al Chet over and over again. Rosh Hashanah, not only don't you say Al Chet, you even censor the Avinu Malkeinu. You don't say Chatonu Lefanecha. The great cover-up. There's a Watergate over here. Why do we cover up the mention of sin on Rosh Hashanah, going so far, Shirley, to even censor Avinu Malkeinu? Madua v'lama. And Yom Kippur, we go overboard al chet. The answer is Avinu Malkeinu. We have this dual relationship with God, parent and king. Avinu Malkeinu. There's a major difference. The Talmud says in Kedushin, Melech shemochel al kivodo ein kavodoy mochel. If you sin, Avram, against the king is not authorized to pardon you. The king is all about din, mishpat. Av shemochel al kavodo, says the Gemara in Kedushin, kavodo mochel. You sin against a parent, it's a parent's duty to what? Forgive you. Because parent-child relationship is all about rachamim. King and subject is all about what? Din. So the Zohar explains, Rosh Hashana, we emphasize the melech. So the Zohar says, melech, king, how dare you mention sin? You'll spoil the coronation. Shh. You're coronating the King of Kings, all about mishpat, din. You're going to mention I'm a lowlife. You'll spoil the coronation. God says, I don't want to hear it. Cover up, because a king is not authorized to forgive you. It's all about din and mishpat. 9 days later, Yom Kippur is all about what? Av harachamim. Av harachamim. Av shemochel kavodo, kavoda mochel. So therefore, Yom Kippur, David, Nachamol, I'm a lowlife, I'm a no goodnik. Which parent will not accept a child's plea? So we have this dual relationship, David. Avinu Malkeinu. On Rosh Hashana, which is emphasized? Malkeinu, Melech, Mishpat, Din. Don't mention sin, you'll spoil the coronation. 9 days later, of course, God is always both. But which is emphasized? On Rosh Hashana, what comes first? The Melech. 9 days later, which relationship comes first? Father, mother. And a parent is obligated to what? Forgive a child. So therefore, Yom Kippur, we go overboard with what? Al-Chet, Al-Chet, Al-Chet. Isn't that amazing? Avinu Malkeinu. But the Avinu comes before Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu. God is both. You know why I celebrate on Rosh Hashana? Even though it's all about din, the judge, the king, the strict mishpat, David. But I got protection. The king and the judge also happens to be my loving daddy. Lillian, I got it made. He's the king, the mishpat, but he's also my loving parent. I got it made in the shade. The king is my parent. He's not a stranger. Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Isn't there a din that we're not supposed to bring a testimony against ourselves or indict ourselves?
Go ahead, so talk to me. How could the Vilna Gaon say, or the Chafetz Chaim, I spoke Lashon Hara, I nibble peh, I'm a lowlife. The Chafetz Chaim, how could he say that? The Vilna Gaon, how could he say that? Therefore we say, Al chet shechatanu lefanecha. Therefore confession is always what? In the plural. Even though I personally surely didn't do those sins, but I'm part of Klal Yisrael.
Somebody did it.
We're all connected by the Cheta Egel. Did Moses sin with the Egel?
No.
He wasn't even there. He says, what does he say? Forgive me, what's his language? He said, we sinned. Look at Exodus 34. How could Moses say, I sinned? He wasn't there. The answer is, if one Yidel sinned, we're all connected, surely whether we like it or not. So the Chafetz Chaim and the Vilna Gaon, they didn't do those sins, but some Yidel did. Whether we like it or not, we're all part of Klal Yisrael. So we're doing what? Confession for them. Maybe if I was kinder and gentler and more loving, the other guy wouldn't be a lowlife. Maybe I was too harsh on him. What? La'avoneinu, he said. L'chatoseinu. La'avoneinu. How could Moses say our sin? He wasn't there. He's part of Klal Yisrael. We're all connected. Perhaps if Moshe was what? Was teaching differently, maybe they wouldn't have made the Chet HaEgel. So therefore, it's called collective guilt and responsibility, whether we like it or not. Right? He's our father, we're all part of what? The family of Klal Yisrael. So if a family member is not beseder, then I'm somehow what? I have to what? Confess for him. Maybe he didn't learn, maybe he doesn't know better. Tell him about the Asper Yeshiva. RabbiSprecher.com. We have to reach out and touch somebody, David. Reach out and touch somebody. All right? But we have to do it in a loving way, not to throw stones or to curse people. That's not the way. You have to do it through a loving way, right? Any questions or comments?
Is there a class next week?
Next Sunday, there's no class because it's Erev Yontiv. But we have a class on Tzom Gedalia. It's my father's yahrzeit. Tzom Gedalia is a day after Rosh Hashana. Right here. Please come a day after Rosh Hashana to my father's yahrzeit, 4:45. That's the Wednesday after Yontif. Okay? And the topic will be, will the U.S. and Iran celebrate Sukkot but Mashiach comes? Get it? Avram. That's the topic for the Wednesday, Tzom Gedalia after. Have a wonderful new year. See you next year.